Well, here we are again. Another loss for the Mountaineer men's basketball team. Not as bad as the last time when they got destroyed by Houston by 34 points. But nonetheless, it was a double-digit loss to Kansas State. Game 2 of Big 12 play, this time in Morgantown. So a little bit harder to swallow when they lose at home. A lot of things that looked better tonight than last game, but again, a lot of things that still went wrong. Thank you guys for hopping into our post-game live stream here. It's been a really busy night for us, so we got a lot going on. But so we may not be able to be on here a long time, but nonetheless, we're going to come on here and talk about the game, give our thoughts real quick, kind of go over some stats and stuff like that. Paul, how you doing?
All right, man. All right. Just frustrated overall with everything,
I hear you, man. Yeah, between this and then football decommits and all kinds of crap going on, it's been a rough couple of hours here for fans. But nonetheless, not to mention what we got going on in our personal lives, right? Both of us dealing with some crap.
Right.
But anyway, nonetheless, we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about basketball. Let's Paul, I want to get your thoughts just in general on the game and what went wrong tonight for the Mountaineers.
Well, looking at it objectively, Kansas State played a bad first half, and we're down 2. They're clearly the superior team. It's not even close. Like we're not close, and I don't know if anybody is holding out hope for the rest of the year. I'll still make another personal judgment, whenever. Looks like I lost Couz, but there he is.
Sorry.
I'll still make another personal judgment whenever Jesse Edwards returns, but that's why because Couz was busy with other stuff, I just came up with the title for the thumbnail on this. Is this a lost season? Because obviously, now that may seem like a dumb question looking at the record and everything, but I think there's a lot of people that think this team may still have time to gel, and when Jesse Edwards come back, make some type of run and do some damage. I'm not in that camp anymore. I just like I said, I'll make another judgment when Jesse comes back and just see what it looks like, because you never know what adding a really good player like that in the middle could do, as far as keeping it more competitive, and maybe they win a couple games. But they're so far behind the 8 ball now, and so deep, and lack so much experience on the coaching side of things to maybe try different things. We've got a bunch of offensively gifted individual players that have no concept of team really at all because of the lack of time. That's really loud, Bubby. Just so you know, those keys clapping.
Oh, it is. I'm sorry.
I guess maybe where it's right by your microphone.
It probably is. My bad.
It's all right.
I was trying to answer that comment. I'll answer it in a minute. Thanks for telling me that, though. Thanks for telling me that, though, because I won't do it now. I won't do it anymore.
Right. That other microphone you had only picked up what was like right here. Mm-hmm. Right.
This is a better. This is a better mic.
This one picks up everything all around.
And I plan on getting an even better mic here later this year, and I'm just going to use this as my travel mic, but that's down the road. But anyway, I didn't mean to cut you off there. You good?
Yeah. Just to top that off, though, it's frustrating because, these are human beings. These are players. These are guys that are going out seemingly giving their all. Don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but I think in hindsight would have been better for Raekwon and Noah and even Kerr to possibly think about sitting out this season, but how can you know? And a lot of people would probably look down on that. But if you'd have known this was going to be the record, even after they've been back 6, 7, or 8 games, whatever it is now, would you reconsider? I think is a fair question to ask.
It absolutely is, man. I mean, I've actually had those thoughts myself. I mean, I would think some of these guys, and I'm not going to say all of them, and maybe I'm wrong, but you would got to think in some of these guys' minds, they're thinking, my gosh, what did I get myself into here, But at the same time, they didn't know coming in that Kerr was going to get suspended. They didn't know that – they didn't even expect Noah to play. So that was kind of a surprise. Raekwon didn't know that his, waiver was going to get denied. They didn't know Jesse, that none of this stuff was known when it all started. So I don't know. I'm sure they don't look back with regrets, but I'm still holding out. I know there's still a small glimmer of hope that this team can make a run in the Big 12 tournament and win the thing. But at this point, that's really the only shot they have. I mean, I don't think Kansas State is as good as the Kansas State team we saw last year, to be honest. Do you?
Well, I mean, they can't be, but I mean, they're still really, really good.
No, I'm not saying they're a bad team, and they're
10.
still a tournament team, in my opinion. But I don't. The one from that last year was an Elite Eight team. I mean, they were really, really good.
Right.
In my opinion, had a shot to win the whole thing.
If they had Tomlin still, then I think you can make a case.
Right.
But they don't. So he's in Memphis. Yeah. So.
Yeah. But let's look at the team stats real quick, guys. They're on your screen now. Obviously, field goal percentage. Kansas State, 53.8%. West Virginia just continues to struggle defensively. I'll be honest with you, Paul. I thought they should have went to a zone defense early in this game, and they didn't go to it at all. Now, they may have a little bit, and I missed it because between trying to prepare for this live stream and other things, sometimes I missed a little bit. But I don't remember seeing them going to zone at all in this game. Do you?
They flipped in and out of something like a zone a couple different times, but not for long. Late in the second. Oh, sorry guys. My cats were doing that thing on the fabric, and it sounded like somebody was knocking on my door.
I didn't even hear it.
Yeah. It wasn't the typical 1-3-1 or anything like that. It was just something that they tried for a possession or two here or there. So
I thought they should have stuck with it, man. I mean, because their man-to-man defense is bad. I mean, it's just straight up bad.
Right. They just don't have the length to play man-to-man. It's the problem.
But then why keep doing it?
They don't have the eraser. It's a good question. I can't answer that. I guess because you want them to improve. I mean, they're because they did in the first half play really pesky defense. And maybe that it will improve with chemistry. I don't know. But
I'm not counting on it though. I'll be honest with you. I just don't think we've got. I just don't think our guys are very good defensive players. To be honest,
he's trying different lineups. You know what I mean?
With the exception of a Cook.
Summick started tonight. Harris, I think, played a bunch tonight.
He did.
He's tried different defensive combinations to try to figure something out here. Unfortunately, it's just we don't have the guys either. That's another thing.
Mm-hmm.
Pat Summick and Josiah Harris, I hate to say it, man. These are a group of 5 type players. I don't understand how they ended up on this team with us, but I just think we have a bunch of guys that aren't very good, and we've got a couple guys that are. But whenever the coaching staff got left kind of just holding the bag, so to speak, whenever everything happened with Hugs and the guys left and transferred out, all the guys that we had developed that had bodies went somewhere else, So even a Conquo would be a helpful player this year on this team.
Absolutely.
He would start on this team, no doubt about it. So even though he plays similar, kind of the same position as Jesse, I think they would play a lot together. Let's just say that. And obviously McGee would be a great addition to this team too. Even though you can't look back at that. Point is the guys that we had left were guys that have been here for years and that had been relegated to bench roles for years. So I didn't have high expectations really coming into this year. And based off a conversation you and I had with somebody very in the know that said they suck to our face. They said told us they suck. Did he not?
Basically.
So, I mean, it was hard to swallow for us at the time. But outside of a certain few transfers that was incoming, we were told the players on the roster sucked. So what do you do there? I mean, you just got to hope that he's wrong, he was not. I mean, suck is a bad word because by that context, they would destroy me in a game, you know?
Right.
So we're talking about Big 12. And,
Right.
you know, you've got people like, you know, what's the guy that always tweets out the real, I always forget his name. The New York accent. He's got the New York accent. He's always tweeting out like the epitome of brutality and all that. What's
Oh,
his name
John
again?
Rothstein.
Rothstein. I always forget his name for some reason, but he's tweeting out how watching the Big 12 is like watching the NCAA tournament game, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, and everybody says that. And it's just such a brutal league to be not very good at.
Right.
There's not very. It's just so unforgiving. There's no
Agreed.
gimme. We are the gimme right now.
Yep. This
And
year we
it's like,
are.
what?
Yeah.
Just not used to it.
Guys, as we get more and more people in the chat room, first off, we appreciate everybody for stopping in tonight. As we get more and more people in here, we ask that if you want to make sure your comment gets read, because we won't be able to get to all of them, you can drop a comment below. You can drop a super chat. Number one, it's a way to support what we do here. It's a small donation to the channel. And then two, it gets your chat highlight or your comment highlighted so we see it, and we'll be sure to read it and post it up on the screen. Otherwise, we'll get to the ones we can and the ones that just kind of stand out and, you know, the best we can. I'll be honest with you, Vonda. I totally disagree with that. This is West Virginia University that has been around since 1863. First off, I respect your opinion. I'm not saying this. This is just my opinion. Been around since 1863. Bob Huggins was a coach at this school for 17 years of that. That's it. He was a player for what, 3 years of that? So 20 years, basically, he's been part of the program that's been around for over 100 years. So Bob Huggins is not West Virginia basketball. And I have forgiven him. I love the guy. I think he's one of my favorite people of all time in West Virginia sports, if not the favorite. However, what he did, you cannot bring him back, in my opinion. Multiple reasons. Number one, it wasn't just a DUI by itself. It was the slur he made 6 weeks prior to that. Someone in his position cannot continue to make those kind of mistakes like that. One mistake, you can forgive, you move on, you let it go. He'd be the coach here. But two, within 6 weeks' time, there is no school in this country, in my opinion, that would have not fired Bob Huggins. I just don't think there would be, because I don't think you can. There's too much at stake from a public relations standpoint, from a funding standpoint, from a donor standpoint, to keep him on after what he did. That's just my opinion. I hope one day he gets honored, gets the court named after him, gets a statue, all that stuff. But right now, I think we need to move on from Bob Huggins and start fresh with somebody new. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. I do believe, obviously, it's obvious just to physically look at him and see that he's made a lot of changes and everything.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And as somebody who's been given a lot of forgiveness in my life, I 100% understand where you're trying to come from, Vonda. But my biggest issue with it all, even if, let's say they could get past the issues, he's 70 now. And I'm telling you, he already started to lose a bit of his step. And he was delegating a lot of things, because there's no way at 70 that you would have the energy to keep up with all the things that roster management entail these days in college basketball or football. And it's just not an old man's game, even though I think he can do good for a year or two, maybe. This team needs a true fresh start with a younger coach, you know. And unfortunately, if Bob was 10 years younger, I would say consider it, you know, but I just don't think, even with the changes, unfortunately, and the thing is, the powers that be right now would never have this. So it's like you're beating your head against the wall suggesting it, because Gordon Gee would go to his grave before Bob Huggins was ever brought back. It's just the way things are. And likely whoever becomes it behind him won't be willing to touch it either. And by then, what is Bob Huggins, 80? So,
yeah,
you know, it's just too late for it to be, you know, maybe he'll come back in some type of way, you know, like we've seen at Wisconsin and other places with other former coaches in football and whatnot. But Never as the head coach again,
Right.
unfortunately.
And I did not mean, Kelso, I don't know if you're still listening. I did not mean to ban you. I was trying to hide your comment because the word you posted can get this video demonetized, my man. You can't put that stuff on here, and it can cost Paul and I. We make money doing this, man. And when you put those kind of words on the screen, it hurts us. So I was trying to remove the comment. It accidentally banned you. I apologize. But yeah, that word that word that you put, the one Bob Huggins said, YouTube is not going to allow that on there, brother. I'm sorry. And I didn't say I was mad that he said it, but it's a public university, man. You've got to be politically correct. I don't care whether we like it or not. It's just the world we live in. People just refuse to accept the fact the world has changed. It's not like it used to be 30 years ago. And people just can't move on from it, man. And I know I'm sound passionate and irritated, but I kind of am. And Paul was right. Bob Huggins was not the same coach he was 5-6 years ago anyways. Let's be honest about that. Like I said, I love the guy, but he's not God. He's
got a pacemaker.
People act like he's God. He's not God. He's a man.
Right.
God, it infuriates me, man. I'm tired of having the conversation.
Well, he's got a pacemaker. He's got to sit on a stool. Like he was in bad shape. And he was an alcoholic. He admits it now. And alcoholism is one of the most damaging things to your body and brain, literally, that there are. And I think it had caught up some with him.
Mm-hmm. I want to address this super chat by Daniel Gigax. He says, to everyone saying bring Hugs back, we are missing the real reason why we are in this mess. And he's saying it's because of Hugs. That's what he said in another comment. Well, and that's right. He's right.
Yeah, but I don't want it to get lost that I mean, does that mean that Josh Eilert is just doesn't? This is something I don't know. I personally don't know the answer to this question, so I'm truly asking it. Does that mean that Josh Eilert gets a pass? Does Josh Eilert get a pass? We know he's not going to get one. So it's almost like, should we even ask the question, right? Because Gordon Gee said he could win the national championship, and we're still doing a coaching search.
Right. Well, I think he was joking though when he said it. To be honest, because he kind of laughed. But
why
again,
would
maybe
you say that?
Because it's Gordon Gee, dude. Gordon Gee says all kinds of crazy stuff. I don't even know how he's still a president. I don't know how he's still a president. If you don't mind,
it's relevant now though with the record they got.
Absolutely. And I don't think he gets a pass necessarily. But what I think it is, I don't think you can fairly judge Josh as a head coach based on the circumstances he's been given. However, I think as a program, it might be best if they move on after, if they continue down this road, obviously, I think it might be best if they just move on and start over. Let Wren bring in his own guy to run the program. That's what I think. I think it's time for us to start fresh. And if you keep Eilert on board, you still got Bob Huggins as shadows to a degree because Eilert was a Huggins assistant. And I think you just need to completely move on from that entire staff. Not saying all the assistants necessarily, but at least from Eilert for sure. And let Wren bring in somebody that he wants to bring in and put his imprint on the program. Because we've seen not only at West Virginia with the women's program so far, but even what he's done at past jobs, he is an absolute stud at hiring basketball coaches. He's not really, I don't know that he's had to hire a lot of football coaches, but he's hired a lot of basketball coaches, and almost everyone he's hired has been successful. So I trust whatever he decides to do. Even if he brings Josh back, I would be okay with it because I trust him. Somebody earlier asked if I would be mad if they hired Huggins back. No, I wouldn't be mad about it at all. I don't have anything against Bob Huggins. I just think the program to me is bigger and more important than one guy. You know what I mean? That's my whole thing with the whole situation. Everybody wants to put Bob Huggins on a pedestal, and he's only been there. He ain't even been there 20 years. I mean, I just don't get it, man. I don't get it. It's baffling to me how we live in the past all the time. All fans want to do is bring back Rich Rod and Jimbo. And I mean, man, let's bring in somebody new and do something different, man. That's my opinion.
Right. I'm trusting the climb right now.
Absolutely. Me too, man.
We're good with Neil for next year, aren't we?
Yes, sir. There you
It's
go,
nice
BB.
not to
Let's move
see Neil
forward.
getting bashed this off season, man. I know it's off topic, but just glad for Neil and his family that he didn't have to deal with that this off season.
Look
Not
at all
as
the
much
picks
anymore.
lately. They're in bars around what he can't have.
I'm assuming he's talking about Huggins. There's pictures with him in bars around the state, maybe meeting people or being hanging out.
Oh, yeah, I'm not sure.
And he's probably trying to abstain from drinking while doing that. He's saying that's not a good idea.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, Luke, if that's
you
the
go
case,
to the barbershop enough, you get a haircut. Kind of.
yeah, it's probably not a good idea. But again, who am I to tell? I've got my own issues in my own life, so I'm not going to tell Bob Huggins how to live his. but you're right. After what he did and what he got in trouble for, probably not the best look. But anyway, we got totally sidetracked. But it's a relevant conversation to have nonetheless. But anyway, you guys see the team stats on the screen. The two biggest ones are the shooting percentage of Kansas State at 53.8, and then the rebounding margin of 35 to 22. West Virginia just continues to get killed on the boards. They don't have any guy. I mean, again, we played a team tonight that had a guy with a big body underneath that we couldn't do anything with. He just Pat Sumnick was the biggest, most physical guy West Virginia had, and they just pushed him around like a rag doll. It is what it is at this point. There's just nobody big enough, period.
Right.
To withstand the physicality of the Big 12 right now. What are your thoughts on that,
video,
Paul?
guys? Yeah, just don't forget to like the video if you don't mind, guys. Hit that subscribe button to Hoops from the Hills. We're on the way to 2,000. If you're watching this video after the fact, please leave a comment below and let us know how you feel about whatever we talk about, whether that's Hugs, the Big 12, this team, Josh Eilert, should he come back next year, whatever you think, please let us know down below. As always, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. On what you just talked about, though, Couz, yeah, I mean, the body ain't on the roster.
Yeah.
So I know some people mention Ali Ragab, but unfortunately, he's just not good enough to hold a scholarship at this level.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to say that, man, but
well, I mean, he's a walk-on,
Right. That's my point.
For a reason.
Yeah, he's just not good enough to hold a scholarship at this level. So bring him into the game is, he's obviously not playing for a reason. At his size, if he had any skill, he would be, right. And obviously, on tape, he's got about a 1-inch vertical, so he has very little lift. Unfortunate, but anyway, it's just not on the roster, and that's the thing. It comes down to the Jimmies and the Joes. If Josh Eilert inherited the 2021 the COVID, or let's say the 2020 COVID team, let's say he inherited them, he'd probably have 1, 2, maybe 3 losses right now, right? Whether or not he's a great coach or not. So I think we kind of get lost. Like when a team's really bad, there's no way of coaching yourself out of that situation. And unfortunately, this team isn't good where it needs to be in the Big 12, which is down low. We would probably be better off to be good at the big spot where like Jesse is, and at the wing rather than at guard for now.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
So that's fair. Old Golden Blue says we need to relax. We all knew this was going to be an experiment. I agree to an extent, and I'm not distraught over the. Now, last week's game I thought was embarrassing. We should not have lost by 34 points. But this Kansas State loss to me was kind of expected. I didn't expect this team to be very good, but at the same time, I thought we'd be better than 5-10. I didn't think we'd be 5-10 because this is a talented team. They haven't been able to build chemistry. We just don't have the right guys in the right spots to do the right things because of the roster turnover that happened in the middle of the summer. I mean, think about it, guys. If we'd have had Trey Mitchell and Joe Toussaint and James Okonkwo and Mo McGee on this team, along with Kerr and Raekwon and who else, Paul?
Noah Farrakhan.
Noah.
Yeah.
I mean, most of those guys, with the exception of Kerr and Raekwon and Noah, all played together last year. You wouldn't have the chemistry issues. And add Jesse to the roster. He came in before all that too. You wouldn't have all the and we'd probably still have Jose, to be frank. You would have better chemistry, and you would only be having to add 3 or 4 guys in, and you wouldn't have had all this. Now you might have had the suspension to Kerr. You might have still had the Jesse wrist issue, but the guys on your roster would have all been, number one, better, and 2, they'd had chemistry with each other. So it just, again, it all goes back to what happened in June. And we hate to keep bringing it up, but it's hard. You almost have to have a discussion about this team because it's at the center and at the root of everything.
Right. Real quick, Kelsey.
Yeah.
I don't have any control over what happened there. Couz said he made some type of mistake, so maybe he can answer this. But I didn't do anything.
Kelsey, you're not blocked, to my knowledge. Are you Kelso? There was a Kelso in here earlier.
He said he made a new account to tell you all this. Right?
I explained it earlier. I don't know if you heard it or not. I tried to hide your comment, and I accidentally blocked you. I don't know if I hit the wrong button or if that's just how YouTube works. But you put a word in the chat room, man, that will get our channel taken down. I know you said you don't have an issue with what Hug said on the radio, but YouTube doesn't allow that. And when you do that, you hurt the people like Paul and I that are doing the content. When you put those words in the chat, man, it affects us too. So I tried to hide the comment, and it wouldn't let us. But I didn't kick you out on purpose. It was an accident. Just to get back to your question.
So do we not have?
It had nothing to do with your criticism. It was the word you used. I can't allow that on here because YouTube doesn't allow it. It will literally cost money. It literally takes money out of our pockets when you do that.
The F word that you put on there, right?
Yes.
Is that the word you used?
Yes. The same word Bob Huggins got in trouble for using.
The YouTube has basically it's I don't know if they have people or AI or whoever, but they across all anybody that does content, if a word like that is used, it flags it right away, and it goes to them, and basically what they do to us is take the video down, whether we did it or not. So it's truly not anything to do with your criticism, man. It's just we can't have the video taken down. That's not fair. So I think that's where he's coming from on it. Kelso, and I don't know how to recover your account, but I'll try to figure it out.
Yeah, I should be able to. I think it automatically puts it into a. There's a section on the back in our analytics, behind the scenes. We can go in. I think we can go in and fix it. But man, I just got to ask. Please don't put those kind of words on the screen. Anything that has to do with sexual orientation, race, any of that stuff, you cannot put that on in the chat room, man. They just won't allow it.
Be mad at YouTube, man.
Yeah, I'm not offended by it. I wasn't offended by it. I just can't allow it on there. Because, like I said, it literally costs us money, and we're trying to make a little bit of cash here. But anyway,
we'll talk about it if you put it on the screen.
But anyway, Snow Lord, thanks for the super chat. He says WV football may be back, baby. Yeah, we hope so, brother. We hope so. And Kelsey, as far as the other one, you mentioned third account, Kelsey. I don't know about the other one. I don't know the other one you're mentioning. And I'll be honest with you, I have never seen your name pop up in a chat room or in a comment before that I can remember. So if I blocked you before, there was either a reason. There are certain words that YouTube automatically, like Paul said, automatically recognizes and will kick out. And so unless you use one of those words, I don't know what happened. But I apologize. I can't remember blocking anybody on this channel. I blocked a few on my other channel. But I don't remember doing it on this one.
I've blocked. Yeah, I don't know if I blocked him on this channel or not. I'm sure I have. Is this Kelsey Whitlock? Is that who it is? Because if that's the case, I may have blocked you.
Yeah, I actually had. You didn't say anything that was offensive at all, Kelsey. To be honest, not to me anyway.
Yeah, Kelsey, I think you came at me hard over something one day, man. I might have got mad and blocked you. I very well may have. So, to be honest, listen, man, I'm guilty of having.
That's funny.
I'm guilty of having thin skin, sometimes just like the next guy. So
Yeah, I'll do it. Hey, I
uh,
made a complete ass of myself on a show not too long ago on another person's show. So
it was
I mean,
bad.
it is what it is.
And then the guy used it.
He
as
still ribs
content.
me. He still ribs me. He's a friend of mine. He still ribs me over it all the time. So anyway, it is. We all have our
I know,
moments.
Lisdell. It's hard, man, because sometimes, like today, for instance, Taj Rael decommitted from WVU. I think I got to it because we talked on the phone. I got to it just a couple minutes after he must have put it on Instagram. Well, I didn't see that. I've got like flooded inbox with people telling me that it was already on Instagram. You just sometimes things just hit you wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I got mad.
Yeah.
I was mad. And I was mad that he decommitted because I made a 3 hour video. Well, it took me 3 hours overall, editing, recording, and all that, and I lost out on it. For time you don't get back.
Yeah,
But
Kelsey, it is Kelsey Whitlock.
okay.
Sorry if we mispronounced your name, Kelsey. Jacob wants to know who decommitted in football. It was Taj Rael, the guy who committed just a day ago. I don't even think it was 24 hours ago.
Yeah, he told
right
me
around 24
yesterday that Miami offered him, and that, like I said, I told him I'm going to put this info out since, um, he won't respond to me and let me know about the video. But anyway, Miami, he's told me got involved late, but he wanted to stay committed to WVU just in case. So basically, we were just a placeholder for him.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess Miami came with the bag because he put on Instagram business is business. So I'll be surprised if it's not Miami, but it could be another team. I don't know for sure that it's Miami, but I'll tell you this: he told me yesterday on the phone it was Miami. So
yeah, good old Jamila, good old Jamila Dye strikes again, potentially. Good Lord. He'll probably never coach at West Virginia again, dude, after all the players he's taken, if that's truly who it is.
well, and then this situation's kind of more fair game. I was talking to another guy about this, media guy, and he said this is one where he hadn't made the campus yet. He wasn't officially enrolled yet. So this one was more, just like West Virginia's pulled a couple guys in that were going another direction. It's this one here. It's just part of the game because they're going to obviously follow the money, just like with UK and Boston, right? We pulled him in right out of literally out of their city.
Yeah.
He was in UK when he called Coach Moore.
Yeah.
But
hey, Earth Eater made it in. Thank you, brother. Yeah, Stephen. Yeah, man, a lot of people were with you. I don't really want to say whether he is or isn't because I just don't think we've had a fair. Like I said earlier, I don't think it's been a fair. You can't really evaluate him fairly because of all the crap he's had to deal with. I was talking about Josh Allert now, obviously, but I still think they need to move on because I just think they need to start over from scratch, man. Bring in a whole new staff. So there are from everything I've heard, there are a lot of good coaches out there that are interested in this job. I don't think Renbaker's going to have a hard time finding a coach for this job, an experienced coach. One name that I keep seeing pop up is the guy at Wake Forest right now. I don't know a whole lot about him, but they say he's an awesome recruiter. The players that he would be able to bring in a lot of talent. He has Power 5 experience. He doesn't have a great record at Wake Forest, but I think he's kind of he took over a program that was really struggling, and I think they've had a hard time with NIL and things like that. He won't have that issue at West Virginia. You know what I mean? So that's just one name I've heard. There are others as well. So I don't think they'll have an issue finding a good coach. I'll be honest with you.
I second that.
And I was going to look at the kind of some individual performances for West Virginia. Obviously, Raekwon Battle had 18 in the first half. They held him to 3 in the second half. Total of 21. He was 5 of 13 shooting, 2 of 6 from 3. Also had 3 rebounds and an assist. You had two other guys in
Another
double
thing.
digits. What's that?
Well, people keep talking about, and I might get a little bit of flack for this, but people keep talking about Josh Eilert and how he's so inexperienced and all that.
Yeah.
Go look up what Jerome Tang did last year. I ask anybody to do that. How long was he an assistant at Baylor for? 17 years.
Something like that.
First year as a head coach, what did he do with the Elite Eight? I'm just saying, how long you're an assistant and how long you've had a job doesn't necessarily dictate how you're going to perform.
Mm-hmm.
Not a good comparison.
It's a great comparison. But the other thing is, though, again, it's a good comparison as far as that goes. But when you look at Jerome Tang, didn't get dealt all the garbage that Josh has been given.
That's not what I'm comparing at all. No, that's not has nothing to do with like.
Maybe I
what
missed
Josh
the
has
maybe I
dealt
was
with.
maybe I missed the point. I apologize. I didn't know what you were.
People are assuming just because Josh had to,
Oh, I see what you're saying.
First year,
yeah, right. I got you.
That
Yep.
that there can't be improvement or anything like that.
Gotcha.
Tang just proved you could take him to the Elite Eight last year. After being an assistant for 18 years, very eerily similar to Josh Eilert in that way. So the whole thing about him being a first-year head coach really holds a little water to me. If you were an assistant for 17 freaking years,
Yeah.
I just I mean, the on the floor stuff, people that are better than me and Couz analyzing that know whether or not strides are being made. So if Josh ever comes up for another job, they can say, well, their record didn't show it, but he made this adjustment here, and that's exactly what a good coach should have done.
Right.
Right. And we don't know that.
Right.
So that's the thing. I can't watch the game from the coach, not on that level, and say you should do this or that. I can have I can throw wholesale adjustments at it, but I don't know the nuanced fine details at all, like a coach would.
Right. I'm trying to show the turnovers. Someone asked for the turnovers.
Thanks, Kelsey. Appreciate that, man. And I'm sorry, dude, if I blocked you for something. I think you were coming at me pretty hard though on this, because I don't just block somebody, over one negative comment. But I think we were really going at it in the debate. And the thing is, like Couz and I talk about this every day. We lose context in our conversations all the time, like whether it's some, because you always kind of put a tone of voice with something, or you just never know. So sometimes it's hard to tell. He said he's going to sub to us with his 3 new account. We'll take it.
Thank you. Hey, we need all the help we can get. Appreciate you. I appreciate you being understanding too, because like I said, I did not ban you intentionally. YouTube may just put you in like a temporary timeout type deal. I'm not sure how it works exactly. I've only had to do that a couple of times. So, but when I saw that word pop up, I was like, crap, I can't have that word on here because YouTube will flag it. But yeah. And toe matters, and it's hard to get that in a text conversation. But yeah, there's the turnovers. Whoever asked for them, I don't remember who it was, but it was 13-13. Turnovers wasn't really an issue. The only way I would say it may have been an issue is Kansas State had been averaging 16 turnovers a game, but West Virginia just doesn't turn people over because they're not good enough on the defensive end to do so. I'll be honest, though, it should have been 14 because that foul they called on Raekwon there near the end was BS. He didn't touch the guy. But anyway, that's a whole.
They don't have enough chemistry, Couz, to attempt to do things other teams do with pressure.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I think they just need to stay. I think they just need to go with the zone more, man.
Sorry about this.
What?
My TV's on. I got the TV on mute. There's a strobe light going off on there.
Oh yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
Where I got the screen share on, it's so small I couldn't see it.
Right. But yeah, I think that has something to do with it too. Is like this team is trying to figure out how to play normal, regular man-to-man defense, much less the crazy trapping and things that Houston did or what Hubs used to do, or any kind of full or three-quarter or even half-court press. So I think they've got the athletes to get in passing lanes, but I don't know. It's kind of like a quarterback that's in the pocket that has worried about the rush that's going to hit him. You just want to make sure he gets through that first progression and tries to get the ball out.
Yeah.
Similarly, I think with these guys are everything's coming so fast. They're trying to learn so much about each other and from each other, and feel pressure to get this first win together. I just think it's a big mess.
Yeah.
You know?
Big Aaron, you're right. He's making 1.2 mil. So even if the season, even if the season doesn't go well, you know, he's he's helping his family, bringing in a lot of money for his family. You can't fault a man for that, right? And Kelsey, I heard you. I think you had a question earlier that we hadn't addressed yet. I don't know if anybody addressed it in the chat, but you asked what happened, how'd they lose because you didn't get to watch the game. Paul kind of talked about that in the opening. West Virginia was up by 2 points in the first half or at halftime because, to be honest, Kansas State didn't play very well in the first half. Raekwon was able to get to the free throw line to shoot 3 free throws like 3 times. And he got fouled and made a 3 a couple times.
And Noah Faircon did too.
Yeah. So there was some lucky breaks in the first half. Raekwon he put 18 points in the first half, which was huge for him. And the defense stepped up and played pretty well there for the last 5 minutes or so of the first half. The defense actually played well, but unfortunately, they weren't able to continue that in the second half. So that's what happened. They just continue to struggle with defense and rebounding, basically. But yeah, and the other two, I think Kerr had 11 points. I was looking at the box score earlier. Kerr had 11, and Noah Faircon had 11. And then rebounding wise, the highest was 4. That was Pat Sumnick. Only had 22 rebounds as a team. That's pathetic. Just not a good night, man.
Sheboy had that in a couple games last year.
Oh my God, yeah, he's done it in a game.
Zach Edey, yeah,
didn't he do it in a game once? Yeah,
yeah, that's what I was saying. Sheboy had that in a couple separate games last year.
Oh yeah, individual games. Yeah, he did. Absolutely.
Zach Edey too.
Mm-hmm.
Man, what an all-time
How much does
loss.
Morgantown play into the woes of the season? It is Morgantown after all? I don't know, man. It's almost like it's cursed or something,
What do you mean by that? Is there because I just have good feelings about Morgantown because I'm not from there. Maybe if you're from there, that might have a whole different feel for you.
Oh, I just assumed he was talking about some kind of curse or something. I might have misinterpreted the comment.
Right. Maybe I am. We need an update.
Yeah. Can you kind of clarify, Cole, what you're referring to there? Are you talking about like a curse type situation, or are we missing something here?
It's a shithole.
Yeah. Huggins bashing recap. We would have had all these players except Trey if they hadn't fired him. They didn't fire him. He resigned first off. And I'm not even going to talk about Mark. I love you, man, but I'm not going to. We talked about that for about 5 minutes earlier in the show. Bob Huggins did something anybody in America would have got fired for. He said a slur on the radio that whether you think it's offensive or not, you can't say that today when you're a head coach. 6 weeks later, he got a DUI. Any coach in America would have got canned for that. They at least gave him the dignity to resign. He didn't even do that right because he had to talk crap about the school on his way out the door, then threaten a lawsuit and all that. That didn't help matters any. But again, I love the guy. I think he's a hero. He'll go down as one of the best West Virginia athletic figures of all time. But what he did, you just can't keep him after that, in my opinion. And like Paul said, his performance had went downhill anyway. He wasn't winning games as much as he was 5-6 years ago.
If he'd embrace NIL just a tad sooner, too.
Yep. Yeah, he had finally embraced it, and things were looking up, and then boom, makes a terrible, stupid decision. 2 of them, really.
It's wild to think that he could have had that money probably a couple years sooner. It is what it is. Oh, he clarified his statement.
Yeah, just a party school.
Here.
Yeah.
No hate intended to case. Just historically, we are a party school.
Oh, I got you.
That was my New York accent. Case.
I got you. Mark, like I said, I love you, man. I respect your opinion, but I totally disagree with that take, man. I'm the 50% of people who don't think Huggins should come back. If they hired him back, I wouldn't be mad about it, and I'd be okay with it. but I don't necessarily think it's the right move, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point too. Oh, Aaron, I clicked the wrong thing, but how many tournament runs have we had since 2010? That's a fair point as well. He had fallen off the tournament runs too.
Mm-hmm. WVU's a rifle school. Yeah, shout out to Curtis for that.
I ain't got a whole lot else, Couz.
I don't either. Yeah, and I don't think the DUI, Kelsey, alone would have gotten him fired. To be honest, I could be wrong on that, but you got to what people don't talk about. When he made that slur, if you remember, Ren Baker stood up and said, he's on a zero tolerance policy. Him or Gordon Gee one said that. When you put somebody on a zero tolerance policy, that's a zero tolerance policy.
You got to stand up to your.
They almost had no choice at that point. Anything he did at that point, whether it was another slur, whether it was a DUI, whether it was whatever that was over the line, they were going to have to get rid of him because they had already put their stake in the ground, and they would have lost. They would have had no integrity, dignity, whatever the right word is. There, I might be getting my words mixed up, but
we got killed nationally.
You've got to be. If you want to be respected, you've got to stand by that kind of stuff. We could have lost funding, government funding, and all kinds of stuff had they kept Bob Huggins. I mean, that's what, and he was in a company vehicle too. I think that's why a lot of people miss in this situation. That might have been a big part of this. He was in the school's vehicle. So had he wrecked and killed somebody, guess who would have been on the hook? The school.
Well, that's actually going to be my next point. Ren Baker would probably lost his job had he done something else.
Potentially, yeah.
Well, it would have fallen on him. I personally believe it would have fallen on him.
Kelsey, when I say funding, I'm talking about like they're a public university. They rely on government funding in a lot of things. And let's face it, they could have lost enrollment because of it. Because a lot of today's youth and students at that age were upset about that slur he made, and the DUI right after it could have. And West Virginia is already struggling financially, anyways. They can't afford to have a black eye. Anything that could potentially lose funding or donations from donors or that kind of stuff, they can't risk it, man. They can't. I mean, they just had to cut a bunch of programs because they were $45 million in the red, anyways. So I think it's kind of. I hope I clarified it. I'm not sure if I did or not, but Kelsey, I don't disagree with you, but unfortunately, that's the crowd that is. You have to rely on for the funding that I'm talking about in a lot of cases, and who you need to go to school there. Go ahead.
My mom's outside, so that's why I was trying to set up 5 minutes ago. I was just trying to let y'all know.
All right,
she just pulled in, so you don't got to go, but I got to go.
All right, I'll let you go, and then I'll wrap it up. I got to wrap it up too, but I'll let you go, brother. Good night, man.
Okay, and I'll edit the video.
Okay.
Oh, we don't have to edit this.
We're live. Yeah, we're good. Thank you, brother.
All right, man. I'll talk to you guys later.
But anyway, hopefully I clarified that, Kelsey. Hope I didn't make it clear as mud. I think it depends on the donor. Right? Some do, some don't. I think it would probably be more so government type funding more than anything in that regard, Kelsey. Just my opinion. And again, I'm no expert on it. That's just my theory, my opinion on the situation. I see my background's getting all screwed up here. My light's getting dim. Got to charge my light, guys. When you're using a green screen and your light, you don't have a whole lot of light. It makes your background all fuzzy. See that? Isn't that cool? I got shadows everywhere. But anyway, yeah, Earth Ether, you're right. They want to win. Donors want to win. That's a great point. I do agree with that. But guys, listen, I got to hop off here too. I appreciate you guys hopping in here for this live stream. I hate that we can't get on here and talk about winning. Hopefully we'll have some of those this year. And we're definitely going to celebrate them when we get them because they're probably going to be few and far between this year, unfortunately. For those of you who disagree with me on the Huggins thing, that's totally cool. We can agree to disagree and still respect one another. And at the end of the day, we all love West Virginia, want what's best for them. And we can all love Bob Huggins together. But we can all disagree on whether or not he should be back. Anyway, thank you guys for hopping in. Thank you for the support. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, all of that if you haven't yet, whether you're watching on the live or on the playback. With that said, guys, I am done.